All right, everybody. So yesterday was the premiere of the first two episodes of the Ahsoka series, a show that I've been highly anticipating for a while now, mostly because it's Dave Filoni's baby. So this video is probably going to run a little long, so I do apologize. Hope you guys don't get tired too much of my voice. If you guys can smash that thumbs up button, that would help more than anything. So I am highly excited and anticipating this show yesterday leading up to the premiere of it, and everything. Like I just kept talking about it at work. Like, I want to go home and watch Ahsoka. I want to go home and watch Ahsoka. And the first two episodes aired last night, and as soon as I got home, I watched it, and I want to kind of give you my thoughts on it because I'm a massive Star Wars Rebels fan. I love Star Wars Rebels. I remember when Star Wars Celebration came to Orlando in, I believe, 2017. Like, we camped out overnight just to get into the Rebels season 4 premiere and trailer, and I absolutely love Rebels. I think it's highly underrated just because it's an animated series. A lot of people don't give it a chance, but this is basically the sequel to Rebels. This is basically Rebels season 5. If there was a season 5, this would be season 5. And the one thing I noticed, and I started getting an idea of this watching the trailers, was that there's going to be some kind of time thing here. And what I mean by that is Rebels season 4 ended with Ahsoka showing up to Sabine and Sabine getting ready to go find Ezra. That's not how Ahsoka begins, right? So we assumed Ahsoka and Book of Boba Fett, all that takes place after Rebels. That's not entirely sure, or that's not entirely true, rather. Basically, what happens was after the Battle of Lothal, the basic rebellion, because the Battle of Lothal ends before A New Hope, before the attack on Endor. So that's what Battle of Lothal takes place. And then there's like a few years time jump. And apparently, episode 2 of Ahsoka ends right at the same time where this begins. So so this scene takes place at the end of episode 2 of Ahsoka. So there's a period of time. So Mandalorian season 1, 2, and 3 takes place within that time gap of Rebels. So it's kind of confusing the way I'm saying it, but if you actually look at it, there is a logical place where this sits in. So as you were watching the trailers, we noticed that Sabine is calling Ahsoka master, and we're like, what's that about? Sabine is not force sensitive. They never alluded her to being force sensitive, and we don't know the full story of that just yet. I'm not poo-pooing the idea. If she ends up being force sensitive, I'm cool with that. But they even allude to it in this episode. Yeah, Ahsoka took her as an apprentice, but she's not a Jedi. She doesn't have any force talents. Like, she's not one with the force. Even the robot, the droid, was like, yeah, you have like zero connection to the force. But I guess they were training her more in the art of the lightsaber, much like Kanan Jarrus was doing with Sabine back in season 3 when Sabine had the dark saber. I believe it was season 3. It could have been season 4. But one of those, Kanan was training Sabine and using the dark saber, using the lightsaber. She was, I believe, training with him for quite a bit. Then eventually she ended up giving the dark saber to Bo-Katan. We see how that turned out with Mandalorian. There was a lot of stuff in this episode that I really appreciated. I like the fact that we get connected with those rebel characters again. Hera was someone that I was kind of worried about. I didn't know how I was going to feel about Mary Elizabeth Winstead coming to play Hera, because Hera has always been one of my favorite characters. I love Hera in the novels. I love Hera in the video games. I love Hera in Rebels. She was one of my favorite characters. Nothing against Mary Elizabeth Winstead, but I always felt, this is going to sound bad, but I always felt that maybe Hera should be played by a black actress. And the reason why I feel that way is just, I feel like when you go back and you look at like Return of the Jedi and stuff like that, a lot of the Twi'leks girls are played by black actresses. And I feel like their features present the Twi'leks in a more broader way. And I don't know why. I always watched Rebels and felt like, yeah, Hera was definitely, like, if she was human, she would be black. So I always thought Hera would be played by a black actress, much like, you know, you look at Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo's Namekian, but bro, we all know Piccolo's black, okay? Don't fool around with that. Just like I always thought Wesley Snipes would be a great Piccolo. But Mary Elizabeth Winstead did a really good job playing Hera. I still think her features are not defined enough to represent what the Hera looks like. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. You go back and, like I said, go back and look at the Return of the Jedi and the Jabba scene and all that stuff. The Twi'lek scroll. That's what I envision Hera. That's just a nitpick. That's just me going on a tangent. That has nothing to do with the episode. We got to see Chopper. That was great. We got to see a lot of lightsabers. That's one thing that I think Star Wars has been missing a lot. You know what's funny is we got more lightsabers in the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka than we did in all of Force Awakens, all of Last Jedi. Not together. I'm talking about like if you go back and watch Force Awakens, right? We got way more lightsabers in the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka than we did in the entire movie of Force Awakens. And then if you look at Last Jedi, within that entire movie of The Last Jedi, we got more lightsabers in the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. So that's just sad, right? I know Star Wars is more than Jedi and lightsabers, but let's be honest, guys. That's what brings people to the table, right? Everybody was playing with a lightsaber as a kid. They wanted to be a Jedi. That's just the fact of the matter. So we got a lot more lightsabers in here. I appreciate that. I like Ray Stevenson's character. Apparently he was fallen. You know, he was a fallen Jedi. They have connections to the Jedi Council. He has an apprentice. We don't know what the deal is with that. I like the mystery of that. We finally get more characterization of the female general of Thrawn, who Ahsoka beat in not Book of Boba Fett, but Mandalorian Season 2. We find out that she's a Night Sister, which is awesome, which goes back to that Clone Wars lore with Asajj Ventress and General Grievous and Dooku going to Dathomir and just eliminating all the Night Sisters. So, and she even alludes to it. She's like, but the Night Sisters are gone. And she's like, I'm a survivor. And it's just like, there's a lot of Star Wars lore in the first 2 episodes that I really, really enjoyed. And that's what I think Dave Filoni brings more than anyone. Dave Filoni brings the lore. Right, we have references to Dathomir, Night Sisters, the Fall of the Jedi. We see Jedi. We have lightsabers, and the music in this series so far. I got choked up a couple times watching the first episode because there were some references, and they started playing some music from Rebels. Now we still haven't gotten Star Wars music, right? We still haven't gotten Star Wars music, which still gets me. I think that's a Disney thing at this point. I really do. I think it's a Disney thing, and Disney is not letting them use John Williams' cues because after I watched the first 2 episodes, I went back and watched the end of Rebels, and they clearly play the Force theme from Star Wars at the end of Rebels, and then it goes into original music. Well, in Ahsoka, episode 1 or 2, they take that original music from Rebels and they add that throughout the first 2 episodes. It's a fantastic score. It's absolutely a fantastic score. I believe it was Kevin Kiner that scored it. Just absolutely phenomenal. And they scored that throughout this scene, and they played that throughout the Rebels or Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2. They played that throughout that, and it's absolutely a phenomenal score. And they add some of Ahsoka's theme in there. It's great. It's really good. I wish we had some Star Wars themes in there, but I really think that's a Disney mandate. They don't want to pay for any licenses or whatever because they probably look at it like, hey, the average person ain't gonna notice, not knowing that Star Wars fans want to hear Star Wars music, right? I think if I talk to like Danny or Anzo, maybe Anzo is a little uppity with the music. Maybe he's on the same level where he kind of feels the same way I do. But if I would talk to Danny and I would mention Star Wars music, he probably doesn't pay attention to. He doesn't care because every one of these shows and stuff I've been complaining about the music. Danny really hasn't been looking at it like, oh, the music doesn't bother me because a lot of people don't listen to the score. I think score is what sets the mood and tones of everything. You know, you go back and you look at Obi-Wan, you know, a lot of that, the music was fine, but why didn't Darth Vader come down to the Darth Vader Imperial March music? Why wasn't the Force theme used when Obi-Wan used the Force for the first time in like 5-10 years? You know, it's the little things like that. That's what makes Star Wars Star Wars. Star Wars isn't just one thing. Star Wars isn't just lightsabers. It isn't just Jedi or the Sith or Rebel Alliance or the Empire or X-Wings or, you know, blasters. It isn't one thing. It's everything. And an important ingredient to that is the Star Wars music. George Lucas said himself, he's like, when he was doing A New Hope, it was John Williams' music that put it over the top. What made it what it was. You go back and you take the music out of A New Hope and watch it, it's a completely different movie. So the Star Wars music is very, very important. The music in here is way, way better than it has been in Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and a lot of those other series. Is a lot better here. They still don't use a lot of Star Wars themes because for some reason Disney won't let them do it, but they did add some themes from Rebels, and I'm happy that they added some themes from Rebels. I do appreciate that. We actually get a crawl at the beginning of the first episode, which I also really dig. It wasn't traditional long time ago in a galaxy far, far away yellow crawl. It wasn't that. It was just a 3 or 4 paragraphs of red text scrolling up, giving us context on what's going on. I enjoy that. So overall, I mean, I really had a great time with these first 2 episodes. There's a lot of mystery going on. We have Thrawn's general trying to find Thrawn, and they're looking for a map. The map is this MacGuffin at this particular time that's going on in the first 2 episodes. The first 2 episodes has the MacGuffin. You know, Ahsoka and Sabine wants it. You know, apparently Ahsoka, like I alluded to before, was training Sabine. Something happened between them. They had a falling out. Ahsoka is kind of jaded. You know, it ain't like the same Ahsoka that I remember. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, she's not like Luke Skywalker. I'm out on the planet sucking, you know, alien cow milk or from a tit or something. But she does have like kind of a jaded tone to her. But by the end of it, they do kind of reconcile. Hera keeps pushing Ahsoka to like, hey, you know, go back to Sabine. Sabine wants to be with you. And then if the second episode ends with this scene from Rebels, and then we're on to go look for our quest here, the hero's journey, if you would, of Sabine and Ahsoka is looking for Thrawn. I don't think she really cares that much about Ezra. She might. I'm not entirely sure. But Sabine's mission is to go get Ezra. They did change a lot of stuff from Rebels, though. I want to get into that. In this scene, we see Ahsoka with a staff. She's carrying a staff when she meets Sabine, and that's not how it played in the live action. It was just her and the cow. She did not have the staff, so that was completely different. Another couple things that were different is the hologram of Ezra, completely different dialogue coming from it. We went back and revamped the dialogue, redid the dialogue, because in Rebels he says something about like, you know, hey guys, I'm sorry I'm leaving, blah blah blah, like, you know, Sabine, I'm counting on you. And this one, he's like, yeah, I know we're not family. I always thought of you as a sister. That's really weird why the hologram would say that, because he clearly saw her in a romantic way in Rebels. Like, he spent the first 3 seasons or whatever just flirting with her, hitting on her all the time. Like, he clearly had a thing for her. I don't know if that's Disney doing their Disney stuff to where, you know, women can't be going after guys, you know, because Snow White, you know, modern times, she's not looking for love. She wants to rise up to be the leader that she knows she can be. Sabine doesn't care about love. She wants to rise up to be the leader that she wants to be. So I don't think that's the fault of Dave Filoni. I think that is sort of like the notes handed up from above Disney going down. That's what happens when you have an overlord like Disney. They hand you notes and like, hey, Sabine can't be a person in love because love is bad. She has to want to be a leader, you know? And if we have any dwarfs, God knows they have to be, like all the Ewoks are not going to be fucking dwarfs anymore, right? We're going to have like Ewoks that look like fucking Wookiees now because Disney, you know, that's what we do, you know, love is bad. You know, what kind of message is that? Like, love is bad. So they did go back and rework that. And they had completely different dialogue where he's like, yeah, I kind of see you as a sister. You know, I'm counting on you. Hold down the fort, all this stuff. And Sabine has just been, you can tell she's been missing Ezra a lot. But it's clear to me now that it looks like they're trying to go the route of, yeah, she's missing Ezra, but it's more of a brother-sister connection now, which... Okay, Disney, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this episode, these first 2 episodes. I'm going to go back and rewatch them. I don't know what the temperature online is with this. I don't know how many people are liking it, hating it. Like I said, this is a weird video for me because it's just me going around talking and just kind of like having like just language vomit come out. I'm just letting everything come out. I thought about doing a podcast, but then I was like, maybe tomorrow. I want to get my initial thoughts out for everybody. But there was a lot of stuff to digest in here, a lot of little Easter eggs, and it's not just the plot of it. It's the setup, right? I didn't want to get into the whole like, oh, the former Imperials were working with, on Corellia and doing all that. Like, I didn't want to get into all that little stuff. We can get into that at a different time. But it was more of the tone, the setup, where it takes place in time, because now we have a good time where Mandalorian and all that stuff takes place before the end of Rebels. It's about Sabine apparently training as a Jedi, even though she is not Force sensitive. Her falling out with Ahsoka's reluctancy to get Sabine back, bringing back Hera. Chopper has some hilarious moments. Big shout out to Chopper. I love Chopper. He has some hilarious moments. But overall, I really, really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. Like I said, I don't know what the temperature is online. A lot of people might be hating the hell out of it, but I think there's a lot of stuff to like. And I believe in Dave Filoni. I think if there's one person to put your chips on, everybody wants to praise Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau might be a Star Wars fan, but he's not Star Wars nerdy, right? Like George Lucas, like people don't know, George Lucas basically trained Dave Filoni. Right, so if we see something Dave Filoni put out, it's like George Lucas. Like, Dave Filoni is George Lucas's apprentice. So, I always have faith in Dave Filoni. I'm not expecting every episode to be gangbusters. I'm not. You go back and look at Clone Wars, you have some really good episodes, some really bad episodes. You go back and look at Rebels, you have some really good episodes, you have some bad episodes. But by the end of it, I think we're going to look back as a cohesive story and see that this is probably going to be the best Star Wars Disney Plus series that we have gotten. I know the bar is kind of low, guys, but I think it's going to be something that's going to be very, very great. And I'm hoping it does well, because this is supposed to lead into Dave Filoni's movie, which is going to be Heir to the Jedi, Heir to the Empire, Heir to the Empire, which is based off the Heir of the Empire Timothy Zahn novel. And yeah, a lot of stuff to really, really unpack, and I'm hoping what I'm looking forward to going forward, I'm hoping we get some Kanan references. I hope we find out what happened to Hera and Kanan's son, Jason Zandula. I want to see Zeb. We saw Zeb in Mandalorian season 3. It'll be nice to get a reference to Callus or see what Callus has been up to. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to see moving forward, and just kind of like sit back for the ride. And I'm actually thinking about just jumping back in and watching it again, because I had an amazing time. Like I said, I kind of like got choked up a couple times in that first episode, just seeing the characters, having that music play. It brought me back, and it's something I really, really enjoyed. But anyway, guys, I talked for way too long. I appreciate everybody who has stuck around this long to listen to me. Thank you guys so much. Be sure, again, smash that like button, and I will try to do like a podcast on this. If not, we will talk about it on Sunday on Storms Live. Don't know if I'm going to review every episode. It just depends if you guys like me talking about it. But I can talk about this stuff for hours. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. Till next time, I'm Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.